Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hey everyone, welcome back to Make the Call. We're on episode number 7. I don't know what the statistics are for that, but it's pretty cool to be getting this far into our podcast, and I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure that you like it and share it, and I would really appreciate that. I want to help as many people as I can, share as much knowledge as I can share after being in the business as long as I have, going back to 1997 and then 15 years before that with a sales background. So on the last episode, we spoke about the direction that I'm going to have the podcast go in, and it centers around the areas of, the fundamental areas, or what I consider like you've got to have this first is what's your vision, and then a mindset management platform. I think those are two really critical. I know those are two for me have been really critical areas. And then we get into the meat of your business, which is, marketing to get leads, lead conversion, what happens, once the customer's committed. So that's your operational approach from, the time the customer locks in all the way through closing, and then lifetime customer relationships. And then the next step is your finance, the acting like a business owner part of this business, where I think that's one of the things that's really lacking in our industry. We don't teach our salespeople to be true business people, and that leads to just performance that could be a lot better. And then all of that rests on a foundation or falls underneath an umbrella. It depends on whichever analogy you want to use for your self-leadership, because your ability to develop in all of those areas rests on your ability to lead yourself. But today I want to focus on the key area that I want to focus on is going to be the area of your vision. I think this is, without knowing exactly what you want to build and where you want to go and how you want this to turn out for you, you're going to end up, we're not sure where you're going to end up, right? So that's why having that crystal clear vision is really important. So when it comes to setting a vision, you have to think about, for me, I had to think about where it is I wanted to go in my life. And this goes all the way back to, when I was, before I ever got in the mortgage business, I knew I was always pretty ambitious. I always knew that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make a lot of money. I really did want to make a lot of money, but for most of the superficial reasons, right? Not because of anything truly important or impactful. I just wanted stuff. I soon came to realize that stuff wasn't that important. But I knew I wanted to make a lot of money, and I got married pretty young. My wife, Lori, and I got married when we were pretty, Lori was 20. I was 22, almost 23. And we had our daughter, Jacqueline. Lori turned 21 a couple of weeks after Jacqueline was born. And I was about 23 and a half years old. And so pretty young when we had our kids, and we were broke, didn't have a lot of money, and which was weird because I really wanted to make sure I was going to be making a lot of money. And when you're 23, that's just the way life goes. I knew that I wanted something more and something better. So over the years, I had several different ventures or different things that I tried, and I interspersed that with a lot of jobs in, regular W-2 jobs. I worked for somebody, they're telling me what to do. And then in 1997, I discovered the mortgage business, and the first 2.5, 3 years I was in the business, probably 3.5, 4 years I was in the business, I didn't have a vision other than I just wanted to make a lot of money. And probably one of the best things that happened to me is that but I was always searching for something, right? So I'm a big reader, love to read books. Put that on your list. You want to read. And today I'm 63 years old and I still read constantly. I'm always buying a new book. I'm always looking for good recommendations from people whose opinions I respect. I want to know what they're reading. That's where I get most of my reading ideas. But I found a coaching company by chance, by accident, right? So I had been involved in coaching through Michael Gerber's company, which is the E-Myth companies of business coaching. And I wasn't even kind of prepared for what that was when I first got into it. I got into another coaching program through the Brian Buffini system because I was introduced to Brian Buffini's by referral only program through some real estate agents that I had partnered with. And I don't think I got involved in any of their coaching, but maybe I did. And then at the time I was reading a mortgage industry trade publication called Mortgage Originator Magazine, and MOM was the acronym for it. And they would always interview these really successful loan originators all over the country. And they also used to do these conferences where you could go to a conference and listen to mortgage originators speak. And I happened to be going to San Francisco the same time for my parents' wedding anniversary, the same time there was going to be a conference. So I went to that conference. I think it was, I don't know, $300 or something, maybe $500. And there was going to be 3 mortgage superstars that were going to be speaking at this event. And I can remember only 2 of them showed up, but a guy by the name of Greg Frost, who was an industry legend. He was one of the speakers. Greg recently passed away, but the big originator out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then another gentleman by the name of Mark Klein. I've never spoken to Greg Frost or Mark Klein since then. I never talked to Greg after that, and I've never spoken to Mark Klein after that. But after the little conference, I went up and I spoke to Mark Klein, and Mark recommended that I look into, because I asked him, where do you learn to build these systems and these processes? And so they introduced me to the Todd Duncan world. I went to Todd Duncan's website, and they had a class. They had something called Loan Officer Productivity School. I believe it was $2,500 for 5 days. And then I also found a coaching program that was through Building Champions on their website. And I found Building Champions, and it was years worth of coaching for, I think, $5,000, which I thought was a better value than the week's worth of school for $2,500. So I signed up for the coaching, and then the guy that signed up, the guy by the name of Steve Scanlon, I don't know, he probably will watch this podcast. I'm giving him a shout out. And Steve agreed to coach me as long as I went to the Todd Duncan Loan Officer Productivity School. So then I was doing both. I signed up for the $5,000 a year coaching and the $2,500 Loan Officer Productivity School. Luckily it was here in Denver, so I went to that event, and it was 5 days, all day in a conference center at the Hyatt DTC right over here in the Denver Tech Center. And honestly, it was like one of the best things that I'd ever attended. And the first day was all about vision crafting, life planning, and just focusing on the direction that you wanted your life to go. It was the first time that I'd been exposed to anything like that. It was so powerful. And it was one of the most important things that I could have done, because it made me dig into the different areas of my life. Because I say this a million times, having that vision of where you want your life to go is critically important when you're talking about building a business, because it can't just be my business, my business, my business at the expense of everything else in your life, or you're just going to be miserable. And I have found that out the hard way, right? Where, like, if I'm too hyper-focused on what's going on at work and too hyper-focused on my business, my personal life suffers. My health suffers because I'm not making sure I'm taking care of myself physically. My finances suffer because I'm not paying attention to my finances. And then my relationships with my wife and my kids will suffer because I'm not making time for them as well. So even though I knew that I had the desire and the ambition to become everything that I was capable of becoming, I also knew that I didn't want to end up there alone. I focus on coaching my loan officers here for whole life success. I don't want you to become a millionaire and your wife hates your guts and your kids won't talk to you and you end up divorced. Or I don't want you to become a millionaire who has a heart attack, or, has a bunch of health problems and their health is terrible, or whose finances are out of control. A lot of guys made a lot of money. A lot of loan officers made a lot of money in 2020 and 2021. And I'm talking to a lot of those loan officers today, and they just didn't do a good job of preparing for 22 and 23 and 24. And so a lot of those guys are really struggling, and that's not having a good handle on your finances. So it's a little late to talk about what you're going to do about that now, because you can't change the past, but you can have a vision for where you want your life to go in the future. And there's any number of resources that are available that can give you direction when it comes to this stuff. I'm a big fan of Darren Hardy, so I read a lot of Darren Hardy books. He's got a goal setting system called Living Your Best Year Ever Goal Setting System. It's a 1-year planner, and part of the work that you do it isn't just make a plan. It's actually, they do a program called Your Circle of Life, and it's just a wheel of life. I'm sorry, a circle of life, a wheel of life. And there's like spokes on the wheel, and every spoke represents a key area of your life. And I always say, I think the 4 key areas that are critically important for all of us to pay attention to and have a vision for, a really strong vision for where you want your life to be when it comes to your health. And then the second one is your relationships. Your third one is your finances. And then your fourth one is your career. I think those are 4 critical areas that everybody should have on those spokes. Now, the other areas can include hobbies, it can include personal development, it can include neighbors, it can include your spiritual life, the church or the community, things that you're going to. So everybody has a different thing, but I think those 4 are the core 4 that you should have. And I think everybody has those. And so becoming a millionaire, but being unhealthy, what's the point of having a bunch of money, but you can't enjoy it? So that's why having a vision for where you want your life to go, it isn't just your business. So I'm sure that when, we talk about crafting your vision, most of the time everybody's thinking about where I want my business to go. And that's part of it. But what I really want people to focus on, and what really helped me the most, and what I would love to share and impart to you to embrace, is the importance of whole life success. So all the areas of your life that can make a difference. So in these show notes, I'll have a link, a download to a Wheel of Life sample that you can use, that I've used, and we will make sure that you can get a copy of that so that you can see what that is. And then we'll talk more about this subject, because it's a really important part of crafting where it is you want to go and understanding what that vision can be. It really does. It really sets the direction for everything that you're wanting to accomplish. There's a lot of things that you need to focus on when it comes to crafting the vision that I have found that have been really helpful, and I will talk about those on our next episode. But I just want to do everything I can today to impart this, that, it's the new year. When I'm recording this, it's January 15th. It's a brand new year, and most of us are just now getting into what our business goals and planning items were for the first part of the year. And you might already be struggling a little bit or feel like you're a little out of sync. And if that's the case, I would tell you that it's probably because you don't have a strong vision out there. Because I'm going to talk more about what that vision will do for you in the next episode. So stay tuned, and thank you for listening today. I really appreciate it. Please like the episode. Please share the episode. That makes all the difference in the world. I'm doing everything I can. I want to just add as much value as I can and give as much back to this community that's made such a difference for me in my life. And I hope you're enjoying Make the Call. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.